So Zoom is telling us that we are live on YouTube, but I still don't see it up quite yet. Okay, we are live streaming. Great. Okay. Let me start again. Welcome, everyone. This is the Live Kingston Commission meeting on June 15th at 4:08 p.m. And I want to welcome you all. We're going to do a round of introductions. And the prompt that I was going to do for today was something that you're looking forward to this summer. And I'll start us off. And what I love to do is I love to introduce myself and then pass to the next person. It just gives me a chance to breathe while you all continue the introductions. I'm Emily Flynn. I'm the Director of Health and Wellness for the City of Kingston. I use she, her pronouns. I'm going on a family vacation in about a month to Norway and Denmark. And we had this trip planned before COVID, and now we're finally getting to go. And it'll feed right into my presentation with Travel Well, because we're going to go look at bike lanes and bike infrastructure in Copenhagen. Yeah. So that's what I'm so looking forward to this summer. I'm going to pass the people on site first, and then we'll move to the screen. Malia, you're on my left.
Hi, everyone. Malia Dumont. I'm a commissioner, resident of the Rondout area of Kingston. And what am I looking forward to this summer? Just being busy, I guess. Lots of hiking plans, hiking and camping. And I guess Sarah's next.
I'm Sarah Brainerd, board member of the Kingston Land Trust, a commissioner, and she, her pronouns. Looking forward to long weekends. I took a bunch of Fridays off, so got that all planned for long weekends. That's what I'm looking forward to, just being home. Yes. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Marcia Sebro, project manager for health and wellness here at the City of Kingston. Resident of Kingston, and what I'm looking forward to is attending as many festival fairs and events as possible, with things being almost 100% back in person. So just looking forward to that. And I will pass it to Katrina.
Hey everybody, I'm Katrina Williams. I use she, her, they, them pronouns. I work at the Ulster County Department of Mental Health, and I'm a commissioner for Live Well. I'm the deputy commissioner for the Department of Mental Health. Something that I'm looking forward to actually this weekend, this long weekend that Sarah mentioned, I'm going with my family to Lake George. First time we're taking our daughter, so I'm excited about that. I will pass it to Lillian.
Hi, I am Lillian Levesque from St. Catherine's. I'm the kinship coordinator here, and I have been working in, living in, and just experiencing Kingston basically my whole life. So I'm happy to be here. What am I excited for? I guess taking walks with my dog and just being outside, like some of you had said. I guess I will pass it to Mary.
Hi everyone, my name is Mary Brimmer, she, her, hers pronouns. I'm the new FNEP nutrition educator at Cornell Cooperative in Ulster County. I'm brand new to the Hudson Valley, so this is part of my work of getting to know Kingston and the needs and strengths in the area. And I'm looking forward to moving into a new apartment in a couple weeks.
Hey. Mary, how about I pass for you? Troy Ellen, you haven't gone yet. Are you ready to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Emily. I'm Troy Ellen. My pronouns are she, her, Aya. I am the chair of the Live Well Kingston Commission. I live in the Wilbur neighborhood of Kingston in the Rondout, and I'm happy to see some new faces here today. And I will pass to Tanya.
Thanks. Hi, Tanya Garment, she, her. I live in Rondout and very active in as just a resident in trying to, I work towards equitable development, multimodal transportation, having things, development at the correct speed so that people don't get spun out. And I'm looking for, there's a lot of that going on, a lot of great initiatives happening, coming out of the city of Kingston, that are coming to there's some of them are coming to a head by the fall. So it's a great time to be engaged and paying attention, and I'm looking forward to being able to have community meetings outside easily.
Thank you, Tanya. How about I pass for you? Heidi, I don't think you've gone yet, and Kristen, I don't think you've gone yet. Heidi, I see you looking at the screen. Would you like to introduce yourself next?
Heidi, you're on mute.
We can't hear you, Heidi.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Sorry for being delayed. My name is Heidi Kirschner, and pronouns are she and her and Aya. And I'm with the YMCA of Kingston and Ulster County. Thanks.
Kristen, you're up.
Yeah, my name is Kristen Kessler. My pronouns are she, her. I am one of the project managers for the Department of Health and Wellness for the city of Kingston. I'm particularly working on a project called Creating Healthy Schools and Communities that I work with some of you on the call actually with, and something that I'm looking forward to this summer. Oh, I'm having a baby, so like that's really exciting. I'm due August 31st, so we'll see if he's a little August baby, September baby. I think either way he'll be a little summer baby. So I'm looking forward to that, I suppose.
I think that Susanna hasn't gone yet. Susanna, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, and I'm sure, and I'm almost ready to join Zoom. I'm just sitting down, but hi, I'm Susanna Callahan from the Institute for Family Health. I'm been a commissioner for a couple of years, I guess. And I don't live in Kingston, but I have worked in and around in Kingston and in Ulster County for quite a few years. And boy, lots to look forward to this summer. Just, I guess, all the outdoor things that people have been mentioning. I like to hike and bike and swim in a lake, and going to the Adirondacks next week for a few days hiking to celebrate my 30th wedding anniversary. So I'm looking forward to that.
Congratulations. Wow.
I know, a long time.
Wave me down if you haven't gone yet, or put it in the chat. Did I get everybody? Anybody not get a chance to go? All right, I think that's everybody. I didn't mention that this is a public meeting at the City of Kingston, and so I don't like us to read all the usual language, but to the effect of like if anyone behaves inappropriately on Zoom or in person, I hold the right to eject you. I just want to mention that. So we have kind of a full agenda tonight. Sarah, in your email, you mentioned note-taking. Do you want the computer and take the notes here?
I found most of the notes and I'll type in later.
Okay.
My laptop just died today, so I have a little bit of here. And
Yeah.
We'll figure it
Okay. I'm trying, or, we're recording it, so.
out. Yeah, we can also play back.
Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to cover that first. So with the new, I'm gonna just jump right to the open meeting laws, unfortunately. So the way that my understanding of the situation is that we currently do not have quorum because we just have 2 commissioners on site. And we would need 4 commissioners to be here to have quorum. My understanding is that the Common Council has legislation that will help define the city's process as that goes forward, but that legislation hasn't passed yet. I think that it will still retain some of that restrictions. So as of right now, this is how the commission will be formed in terms of quorum rules going forward until I hear otherwise. Troy Ellen has been tracking this. Is there anything, Troy Ellen, you'd like to say or any questions about that?
No, because it's still kind of in a state of flux. So until the Common Council meets again and passes it, we don't know exactly what is going on. So I will share, or you will share, Emily, in our next Live Well Kingston Commission meeting.
Great. I agree with all that.
I don't know if you just saw this, Susanna put something in the chat.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, Susanna, are you telling me that you are ready to be promoted to panelist? I think you probably are.
Yeah, because she disappeared.
All right, so I think Susanna is gonna be able to join us now
There she
on screen. Thank you for that. Any questions about open meetings law about that? Anything more we want to discuss at this time? Welcome, Susanna, nice to see your face.
Thanks. You guys too.
I'll just say that this is Katrina, that slipped by me, so I can make an active effort to be in person to help with the forum moving forward.
I appreciate that, thank you so much. Okay, so the first thing on the agenda then was the approval of minutes, which we'll not do then since we don't have quorum, so we'll have to pass that for now. And if they start to stack up, we can start to discuss how we want to go forward about passing the notes. That would lead us into presentations, and our first one is about travel well. And there's an extensive, I'll be talking a lot, I have a lot to say about it. And then I just want to preview the other things. After that, we'll do a stretch break. Then in new business, I thought we would talk about the Kingston Forward zoning project. Then in old business, just not a whole lot there. And then basically announcements and communications. So the meat of our meeting today is our presentation now for Travel Well. Sarah, I put you first. Do you want to talk about anything in your world, or would you like me to go straight into my stuff?
I can go. I have our notes from last time.
Okay, so Sarah, right now, are you the chair of Travel Well?
I think we did that last time.
I think you are the chair. Okay.
We did do that last time. I don't know if is that a begrudging statement there, but. Okay, yeah, so I'll just do a quick update on the Kingston Greenline and Kingston Land Trust. There's still shifts going on at the Land Trust, so the actual staff participation in the Green Line has kind of dwindled while we are reorganizing. So I stepped down as chair, and I'm going to be reshifting my efforts into the Green Line kind of committee in that world. With that being said, I'm kind of shifting those over to Travel Well. So a lot of the things that we were doing kind of will be under the umbrella of Travel Well, and which is fine because we've always worked in partnership with the city and with the county to get those things accomplished. So there's a couple like logistical things that are happening. We're going to be updating the map. So the Greenline map will go through some updates and revisions. It'll start off with my pal Emily, and then it'll be passed off to me, and the folks at the Land Trust, the city and the county will kind of put their input. We might have our partners, take a look at it, and then that will be added and published out there on the website, on the Facebook. Any of our brochures will be updated, and other collateral. What else we have that with that? So that's kind of a logistical thing that we're hoping to do probably this month. There is a raise grant that the city is applying for the KPRT Kingston Point Rail Trail. I like to always say the acronym while I say it. Phase 2, so the additional construction and some other maintenance and things, freshening it up. That grant has been applied for. I don't have any updates from that yet, right? I don't have anything since the last meeting. So that's there. We're also working on some invasive species planning after the bike ride about a year and a half ago, maybe now it was, that Julie Noble and friends took, and I identified and documented some of that. So we will hopefully see some motion on some next steps with the invasive species. Maintenance support's always a big topic. And pre-pandemic, we met as a leadership team monthly and kind of tackled different sections of the maintenance plan. We're going to pick that back up again and really understand whose responsibility is what, from heavy maintenance to like cleanup, all the way to like reconstruction if needed. So that will be on our to-do list as one of the first things that this kind of Greenline community group does. We're going to start that in the softest way, and to slowly bring volunteers in by having some wanders where we have informational types of walks a little later, as well as community cleanups, clean sweeps kind of things. We used to do that monthly, and then the last couple of years we've done it, a couple times this summer. So my goal is to kick that off, I think June, even if it's just a pop-up, and then have scheduled planned ones for July all the way through November. Last year we were able to have one at the beginning of November, get some trash and leaves off the trail before the winter hit and everybody slipped and slid. We moved a lot of leaves then, so that was good. So within that, throughout the summer, we want to coordinate and connect a lot of business owners along the corridor, let them know who we are, meet some of our new neighbors, maybe do a block party again, because that was super fun when we launched the Green Line a couple of years ago. So hopefully some of that will happen for us as well. There's lots of opportunities along the Green Line, like the Hasbrook Delaware Parklet, as well as some other pocket park opportunities downstream at the KPRT, as well as in the Midtown Linear Park. We know there's lots of cool open spaces, so we'll start exploring those. And my hope is to kind of have a Friends of the Kingston Green Line that's a community committee over the next couple of years and really build that up and get some like folks just doing it as part of their day-to-day as they take their walks and commute to work and school. So that is my high-level overview of what's going on with the Green Line.
Any questions for Sarah before I continue on with my travel well stuff? I don't see any.
You mentioned applying for a grant, and where are we applying for the grant from?
The city's applying for that. I'll let Emily take that because she knows a little more than I do.
Okay.
Well, I know this much, and that is that the city applied for a RAISE grant, which is one of those very large federal transportation grants.
Okay.
And we've heard from our legislator that we're gonna get it.
Okay.
But we haven't officially received it yet. And my understanding is that it's part of a package of projects along the Rondat Creek.
Okay.
So it's the, what's the word? The wall that keeps the creek from flowing in. It's part of that project
Okay.
and other things along the creek line. And included in it is this trail, is the trail.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Which is about the end of Rondat Gardens along the water. And it will help, avoid raising floodplains and floodwaters and levels of sea levels. That's what I was looking for, sea level rise. So, yeah.
A reminder that if you guys raise your hands electronically on Zoom, I can't see it on this big screen. So I'm looking every once in a while on the Zoom on my computer, but if you want our attention, start talking. In other spaces, we try to be very polite, we use those hands, but I think here you might need to try to get our attention in other ways. All right. But I don't see anyone waving me down or talking, so I can continue on. So I'm gonna take a little bit of a step back and remind us all that Travel Well is sort of made up of multiple groups. And so thank you, Sarah, to talk to about the Green Line. In the past, the Green Line Committee was sort of one of the three buckets of Travel Well. The two other buckets as of right now are Bike Friendly Kingston and Complete Streets Advisory Council. So I'm gonna go into Complete Streets Advisory Council next. So they meet quarterly for the city. They're an advisory council about how do we make our streetscapes designed and implemented for all users, mostly walking and biking and active transportation. They are the chair of Complete Streets, recently reviewed Kingston Forward. That's the zoning code draft that has been published on engagekingston.com. And I think we'll talk about that more later, so I don't want to go into the zoning code at this time, but there is overlap between the way our streets are designed and our zoning code. And so Complete Streets has officially made comments to the zoning code consultants. So they are in discussion about how that works. Complete Streets is having a little bit of a discussion about, in the last 10 years or so, we've done a lot of work building out the Green Line trails, building out some of our streetscapes, especially in Complete Streets ways. And there's a little bit of a pause here or a want to reflect on what we're going to be doing for the next 10 years or so. And so the conversations we've had thus far in Complete Streets have been about, we've done a lot of bicycle support, and maybe it's time to sort of start shifting to pedestrian and walking support and focus. And that may be trying to come up with a funding mechanism for sidewalks. I've mentioned that here before. That's a huge, complex project. And how we would fund that or organize it is still very much up in the air. So we're at a discussion stage for how do we come up with a program or system to improve the sidewalks in the city of Kingston. I hope that our pedestrian and bicycle master plan, which I'll talk about in a minute, will help inform that. So that's a little bit of updates from Complete Streets. It's another public meeting. Everyone is always welcome to come and join that as well. If no one's waving me down, I'll keep going. So I mentioned the bike ped master plan. Some of you here have heard we've been talking about this for years now. So the bike ped master plan is a planning document for the city of Kingston to improve walk and bikeability for the city. So it really looks at the whole city as a system and how do we improve it. Those types of projects come in different phases. The first 2 phases are sort of complete, and that is public outreach and data collection. So the one way that I've been sort of thinking about it is we sort of have a snapshot right now for what we currently have in the city. What is the current infrastructure? What is the current flow of traffic? How are the sidewalks right now? What is their ADA accessibility right now? And so we sort of have a snapshot. Then, so that's sort of the data. Then we've collected a lot of public outreach. So we've gotten information from people, how they're using the streetscapes, what they'd like to see for our city. And now the consultant is taking all that information and coming up with recommendations. And I'm sort of thinking that as phase 3. So they're actively writing that. They're probably going to give us a draft in August. I will bring that to our public advisory committee. They'll be the first group to give us recommendations and comments. We'll do another draft with their comments, and then it'll probably be published as a public draft, and we'll have a public meeting for everyone in the community to give us their feedback. We would take their feedback and the common councils and our funder, which is the State Department of Conservation, their comments as well. Then we would present that to the common council for approval. And that's sort of the timeline. We're looking to try to bring that, to have that public meeting in early fall. So we were thinking we would not try to do it in August because everyone's going to be away, but we would wait for early September to probably do that public meeting. That's the pedestrian bicycle master plan. Any questions on that? No one's waiting down. Oh yeah, Tanya, go ahead.
How would this plan be used differently than the Kingston Forward Street Design Standards? What would be the different applications for this than that?
Well, the plan is guidance. It is not, what's the word? It doesn't dictate the city that it has to do anything, but it is recommendations. So it is a planning document that says, here are some potential projects, here is the order that you should do them in, and here are some likely funding sources. When the Common Council approves it, there is some teeth in that, and that they have looked at it and said, yes, we agree, we think that this is the direction that the city should go in. For zoning, I'm not an expert in zoning, but I can say that similarly, my understanding of the streetscape portion of zoning is recommendations. Hold on, Tanya, let me finish my thought, then I'll hear your feedback on that. My understanding is that they are recommending different templates for different streetscapes, but each street is unique, and that the city's engineer and maybe DPW, I'm not entirely sure who the decision makers are, they consider those streetscapes, but each street is specific and may have to be changed. So in that way, I consider it guidance. Tanya, do you want to chime in on that? Maybe you have a different thought of it.
Yeah, I mean, that would, if DPW looked at it and the city looked at it and decided not to use it, it would be quite a big deal. Not impossible, certainly, but it would be a big deal. It would be akin to basically getting a variance, you know. But I think I understand the differences of what you were saying, that this would be, so with the street design standards, it's a template of exactly what is done. So for instance, one street might be identified as having more appropriate tree plantings be in a natural scape, and another would be in an alley sort of scape, and the widths of sidewalks, and it could be a street where the cars have to yield to other cars so that it stays a narrow street to slow the cars, and it'll have been deemed appropriate to do it that way. So I do know that with grant funding, these street design standards, specifically because they hold the tooth of law, the city will have a lot more behind it when it asks to do things. There were many examples in the Broadway streetscape where the city was not able to do things that it wanted to do, for instance, because they were battling with not battling, but because of, having it done by, for example, the Department of Transportation, which is very highway centric, and the federal standards. But, the country is getting better and better at really focusing things in cities as a city design. But for years has been really like trying to put highways through cities in essence in terms of the regulations. So if we have these on the books, when we're trying to get grant funding, the city will be able to say to the funders, oh, and in Kingston, we do it this way and this way and this way. So they won't be able to say, oh, you have to have the vehicular lanes as wide as possible, so you better just have the bike lanes as narrow as possible. We'll have more teeth specifically because it's the law. So if I'm understanding correctly with the pedestrian bicycle master plan, it's more about when and what to push those initial initiatives towards, like what to find money for and what to, not necessarily exactly how it's done, but how to get it done. And what to try to get done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. So I think my understanding is that the bike lane master plan there is overlap there. And I want to say, I think I agree with you in when you say, talk about variance with the zoning, I agree. I think within the spectrum of what you could do for a streetscape. So zoning says, if you have this many cars, this much dense housing, the streetscape, here's a template for what that should look like. And if the city said, if someone was like, we need to put in a highway, yeah, I agree. I think that, right, that would be like a variance if that's the right term. But within that streetscape, if it's got a two-way bike lane or a one-way bike lane, or those kinds of things, I believe that that's sort of up to the city engineer to decide by place and by other data involved. So yes, I agree with you. So bike ped master plan, right, it's looking at the whole system, and I'm hoping that so the way that I sort of thought about the bike ped master plan is that we have a road system that has major highways, and then through roads, and then small neighborhood roads. And for the green line and for the city, I want the green line sort of be maybe the highway that gets you through the city. And then when we go look at each individual, well, those are the neighborhood roads, and how do we accommodate walkers and cyclists on a system-wide way? So there's that sort of consideration. And then I think there's gonna be specific projects. I think they're gonna say, here's a missing link. So if the green line drops you off at the grocery store, but you can't get over to the other side of the Green Line Trail, what are their recommendations? They might make that a higher priority of a project so that the system is more of a network and not just like, here's a bike lane. Not to say that that's what we've done, but this will help inform and start to connect those dots to create a full network. Does that answer your question, Tanya? There's a lot more there, but there's a lot more also to cover. So, and I'm also happy to answer questions anytime. Yeah. Any questions coming up for anybody else? No, thank you, Susanna. Okay. All right. So I want to mention another project that's in my world, which is the transportation education campaign called Be a Road Hero. The city is putting out a press release like right about now-ish. Announcing it, so it should be hopefully in the papers in the next day or two. I'll give you Vanna White for a moment. So I don't know if you can see it from there, and I don't know if it's mirrored for you, but it says Be a Road Hero. And the campaign is reminding sort of three group demographics: drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists, how to be safer on our city streets. Everyone can go to engagekingston.com. I'll put the link in the chat in a moment to see all these materials. We're doing a direct mailer to every resident in the city of Kingston. These yard signs will be going up in the next week. We have created some videos. There's 3 of them. The first one is sort of an instructional video about how to use a little bit about the bike lane and mostly about the green turning box, which I think most people don't know how to use yet. So there's a little bit of an instructional video. Thank you, Tanya. You're putting up one of the flyers. Thank you. And I brought another one. And then the other components are, then the other two videos are shorter, and they're really about social media and getting people's attention and driving them to the Engage Kingston website, where we have a lot more content. So,
and Kristen just put the Engage Kingston in the chat box.
Thank you, Kristen. I appreciate that. So lots of materials going out, all encouraging everyone to be a little bit nicer on the roads. Look for that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about that. Oh, you know, I have an ask for everyone, and that is we're going to be reaching out, hopefully, and asking people to be ambassadors for the Be a Road Hero campaign. What does that mean? If you see our social media post, if you don't mind sharing it, passing it on, if you're part of a house of worship or a community civic group, if you don't mind being an ambassador for this program to that group, I don't mind coming and sort of presenting about it if they'd like that, or I can provide you materials like the PDFs or links to the videos. So we would like help disseminating the information. So that's my ask to everyone about that. Any questions? Are we waving me down? Let's see, I want to mention a bunch of stuff that's been happening in Bike Friendly Kingston. So Bike Friendly Kingston hosted a Kingston Women's Bike Festival at Keegan's with O Positive. Slow rides are continuing on the first Thursdays of the month, 6 p.m. from the Ymca. And in fact, the next one will be July 7th, and I'm leading it. So we're going to combine it with the Be a Road Hero campaign. And the theme will be how to use Kingston's bicycle infrastructure. And I will teach anyone who comes how to ride in the bike lane, how to use the 2-stage green turn box. And I'm sure about some other bicycle tips and tricks and how to use other infrastructure in the city. Let's see. Then I want to mention, Kristen, do you mind letting me take a breath? Will you mention the CHISC layover with Bike Friendly and all the head supports there?
Yeah, of course. Oh, I feel like I moved a little bit, like I was transporting in space. For creating healthy schools and communities, one of our main strategies is connecting routes to everyday destinations. So we are involved a bit in the active transportation world in Kingston. And as a part of that, with our funding from last fiscal year, we were able to purchase 38 bike racks that we're super excited about to be able to put around the city of Kingston. Our objective is largely focusing on the Green Line because that is the main artery for walking and biking throughout the city. And so with these 38 bike racks, we will be identifying locations that are on city property, at nonprofits, at businesses. Emily and I are really going to sit down and take a look strategically at where it would be really helpful to have these bike racks. So as we are teaching you how to be safe while on the road, and we are working on this pedestrian bicycle master plan, we'll also have a place to put these bike racks. As a part of that as well, we also were able to purchase a few bike repair stations in a bike shelter. So we're hoping that we'll be able, I think the bike shelter might go down at Kingston Point Beach, but we are still finalizing that location. So have a lot of really fun cyclist infrastructure support elements that we were able to purchase with the Creating Healthy Schools and Communities funding. And as a part of that too, wait, there was something else that I was going to update on. I can share about the 2 for the Trails application if you want to keep taking a break, Emily.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so 2 for the Trails is a foundation that supports trails and a variety of different aspects, whether it's like hiking trails, biking trails, or urban trails. And so we applied for one of their fundings to hopefully be able to do a trail wayfinding signage program for the Green Line. And so what this application was for would be to hire a consultant, so someone who is an expert in telling us what types of signs we need, where we need to put them, and they would come in. So once again, all this goes back to, we're kind of for CHISC focusing on biking for our next fiscal year, and then hopefully following up with that idea of focusing on pedestrians in the future, but that we'll be able to have some signage. So as we tell you guys to get out there and ride bikes, or just us to get out there, not like us telling you, but like we're all like, hey, ride your bikes. You'll have some signs that will tell you exactly where you are along the green line. So that application, I believe, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember if it was early July. I think that they were going to get back to us if we were approved for that. So we'll see about that one going on. And yeah, I think that was it. Was there anything else that I'm missing from CHISC? Oh, I think maybe the YMCA bicycle programs as well.
Yeah, I can start that by saying, part of Bike Friendly Kingston is the YMCA's bike programming that Tom Polk leads. They do a lot of programs. It's all on the YMCA's website. I want to especially mention Bike It, which is the Saturday morning kids program. Tom takes them around the city and also to other places. They get a chance to ride bikes and learn all of the skills that Tom teaches them. Tom also does free bike repairs monthly. Again, that's on the YMCA's website. And then do you want to talk about the overlap, Kristen, with CHISC?
Yeah, so CHISC was able to support some of the supplies and materials that are needed for the Bike It program, I believe. It wasn't the monthly repairs, it was the bike safety. So the transportation education campaign is falling a little bit under the CHISC umbrella as well, just some of the deliverables. So I'm calling it the summer of safety, and I feel like I just keep putting that out there, and that maybe I don't know if it'll pick up, but we were really excited that we were able to use funding to support those workshops. And so I will actually be attending the Kingston Food Co-op Summer Party that's happening in July, which I believe is a monthly repair station. So I'll be there sharing some information about CHISC, about Live Well Kingston, and about some of the activities that we have going on.
All right, thank you for that. Next for Travel Well, and then we're getting sort of close to the end, is I wanted to include some transportation construction project updates. So I am not the project manager. Thank you, Heidi, we see your comment, yay. So I want to just sort of go through these just as an update for you all to know. The Broadway streetscape, if you all came through here to get here today, you notice that they are finally installing the lights at Broadway, Prince, and Grand. Finally, we will get some pedestrian support there. And my understanding is, I think that once those are in, then all of the traffic lights should be synced, because they're not synced yet. And once they're synced, the time to get through Broadway will be shorter, because when you hit green, you'll get to go all the way through the corridor. That's the promise. So that's coming soon. I want to mention that the Elmendorf Street, I think, bridge has reopened. That is over the Green Line. And so that was a project in the city that it had been under construction for a long time. Ooh, I didn't see what that comment was that came in.
I'm unfortunately going to have to step out for my next thing. I'll just mention quickly, I don't see, maybe because it's not a city thing, but Ward Street Bridge on these transportation construction project updates, and it is very disruptive right now in the Rondout area because it has turned one of the major streets into one-way only for the next however long, and they start every morning at 7 a.m. and the whole name. Somebody else here said they live in the Rondout, like we can hear it. So it's going to be great once they finish it, but that is definitely some. And I was, as far as I can tell from what I see of the construction, they don't seem to have prioritized pedestrian and biking at all. I know that the bridge has pedestrian lanes all built into it on either side, but I was really hoping they were going to take more of a green line approach to fixing it. But it looks like they're just doing infrastructure repairs, and it's going to be exactly the same as before. So that's disappointing, since there's a completely redundant bridge 2 blocks away. So I thought they could do something different with this. I'm sorry I have to leave early, but I'm going to the Ulster County Black Business Celebration dinner. So it's all good stuff supporting the community here. So thank you, everyone.
As you're walking it, I'll say, yeah, I don't know about that party because I don't think it's a city project, I think it's a state or.
It might be, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
And you're right, that is, so like if you were to be traveling to Sopus, that is where the pedestrian and cyclists would go.
Yeah.
Bridge, not IW.
Right.
So I hear you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Lynn.
Thank you guys.
Have a good night. West O'Reilly is a street near us here in Midtown, and it has gotten new sidewalks recently because of, thank you, Heidi. I see that you're also going to be leaving us. Thanks for joining us. That is, if you wanted an example of the most ADA compliant sidewalks in the city, that would be West O'Reilly, so go check it out. It's the most recent sidewalk reconstruction that has happened. I want to mention that still in the design phase are a few projects. That is the safe and accessible Flatbush and Foxhall project, and the Uptown Transportation Improvements, which is sometimes called the DRI Transportation Improvements. That is Schwenk Drive, which is part of the Green Line. And so those are still in the design phase. And then happily, we have two projects that are going into construction. Actually, we have three projects. One's not mentioned, listed. Franklin Street. Franklin is the street that takes you to GW Elementary School. That street is going to be completely redone, new sidewalks, new streets, new roadway. And Henry is the one that leads to GW. Henry Street, safe routes to school, is going to be completely redone. Franklin Street is the one with the library.
The library.
Thank you.
And the store, corner store.
Let's see, I'm sorry, my notes were down, yeah, so, and then Wilbur Ave, going down to the Rondout, William missed that one, but that's gonna be redone, but Troy Elm, that should affect you, is Wilbur Ave getting repaved?
It looks like I came up that way this afternoon, it looked like there's some cones down, so.
Might be happening
Yeah,
already.
it might be happening.
And then the Midtown parking lots, so there's three parking lots that the city owns in Midtown. Cornell, the one on Cornell Street is probably the most well known, that's sort of by Frank Guido's Little Italy. And then there's two other ones right in Midtown. They're all gonna get redone with green infrastructure, which means that the storm water runoff goes into plantings instead of down into the sewer and overflows the water system. So those are going into construction this year. Whew. So that's a lot of transportation stuff.
Yeah.
Any questions? Anybody raising their hands?
No, I'm super excited about the fast lane getting extended to that parking lot, because it's just gonna make the connectivity a little easier for folks from the Greenkill side to get over to the Midtown Linear Park trail. So yay, and we should do something, and that's why I really think we should have our block party this year is in that area.
Cool.
So I think that'll be fun and kind of bring that little neighborhood into it this year.
That's awesome.
So.
All right, I don't see anyone. Kristen, you're off mute. Are you gonna say something? Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about sharing maybe an update on the Broadway Prince landscape design, since it's quasi travel.
No, please.
Cool, yeah, it's along the Green Line. We, as a part of CHISC funding as well, we put out an RFP for a landscape design consultant. So in redoing the Broadway and Prince or Broadway Grand intersection, they created two new green spaces. And so that is right along the Green Line, and it's in a spot that's kind of in the middle of a couple different neighborhoods. You know, there's a couple businesses that are nearby, but not really a lot of maybe like supportive elements for pedestrians and for cyclists. And so we have an RFP out for a landscape design consultant to come in and help us do a little bit of research, evaluation. We're really focusing on public outreach as a part of this. We want to make sure that we're engaging the Midtown community, and so that the spaces feel intentional for the community, that these spaces are created for, you know, not only the residents of Kingston, but, you know, the residents of Midtown and folks who work in Midtown, which I think is a few of us. So a little selfishly, it'll be really nice whenever they have that there, since that's where some of our buildings are located, but it'll be a little bit of placemaking. So it'll be encouraging folks to use the Green Line so that they can go perhaps from, you know, down near the water up through Broadway to the beautiful new streetscape that the new bike lane that's up there. we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. We just know that we want it to be something that helps to encourage walking and cycling within the city of Kingston. And so we are reviewing proposals now with hopes that, sometime this summer we'll be able to select a consultant to get started on that. So the timeline for that's a little extended. I mean, because we really wanted to make sure someone came in and did outreach to the community and got a lot of input, we wouldn't have a plan for that until next spring at the earliest. But we are excited to get this project moving, and then hopefully we'll be able to move forward and actually getting, something created next year. But first step is first, just review our proposals and hopefully hire somebody soon. If you have any questions about we're talking about with these two green spaces and placemaking and so forth, definitely let me know. But this is something that's really exciting that we've been working on for a few months, and it feels good to hopefully move it forward.
Thank you, Kristen.
Kristen, can you email me those two spots on a map or something? Right after this, I have to rush home and get on my board meeting for the land trust, and they're gonna wanna know if I give that update, where that is. They will ask me. If I don't have an answer, I will probably have to call you tonight, so if you could email me that.
Do you want us to explain it more, or do you want the visual?
It's the visual, that's what they will have me do anyway, so if you could just quickly email me like the road crossings, or just like snapshot it on Google Maps and send a little highlight.
Yeah, I think that I have a map that we put together to put in the RFP, so I can probably send you that image so that you'll see where they are. I'll do that now. Please don't call me because I'm leaving in 5 minutes.
I was kidding.
No. I'm just saying I teach yoga, so I won't answer your call, and I would feel terrible about that because I'm teaching someone how to do down dog or something.
That's good.
So I'm gonna send it right now.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for all of that. That's a lot going on in our transportation. So even, I guess I always do a little bit of what we didn't mention was that Travel Well recently met. We have a nice little group that's starting to come together. Travel Well is one of those groups that has fallen off and come on. And to give us the reason it falls off is there's a lot going on, and a lot of our time is spent managing a lot of these projects. But it is sort of an exciting time, because I think we're starting to revitalize it.
Yeah.
So that sort of completes my report for Travel Well. Unless there's anything else, any other questions, any other thoughts? Okay. Our Travel Well meetings open to the public. Yeah, they are. They're not public meetings, so let me clarify. So this is a public meeting, which means I put it on the city's website. Travel Well, as of right now, to join our meetings, email me, and I'm happy to invite you. Everyone is always welcome, but it doesn't follow the open meetings law rules, because it's not technically a city.
It's a focus team, right?
It's a focus team, right. All right, so next on our agenda is a stretch break. I would like to invite everyone to stand up if you would, if you're here with me in person, or if you're on screen, you can turn your screen off or leave it on. We'd love seeing people stretch with us.
Can I get a hug?
Oh, we're gonna do a hug here in person, so.
I haven't been in person with you.
I'm jealous. I love being with you. So I'm gonna suggest some stretch movements, which means you can put your arms up, you can down. You can hug a friend, which is a lovely way to stretch. You can lean over to one side and do a kind of a tree thing. You could shake out your arms. Last month, I think I did my wrists, which always feel good after being on the computer all day.
My coworker goes with this.
Yeah. Sarah's teaching us when to put our wrists up on our
He sees
feet.
this and he goes like that.
That's lovely. I like to shake out my legs. I'm gonna do 3 breaths, and then we'll join us back together to continue. So I'm gonna breathe in, up once, and down and out. I like to shake my shoulders and then breathe in, up and down, coming in and out, and one more time, up and down and out. And Katrina's jumping off. Thank you, Katrina. Thanks for joining us. All right, so welcome back, everybody. We are going to do, I'm gonna mention the zoning draft again. So this is the Kingston Forward zoning draft that Tanya was talking about, that we were reading that earlier. So you can go to engagekingston.com, /Kingston Forward to see all of it. I believe that there was just a suite of public meetings that just happened, but there is still a public hearing on June 22nd at 6:30 p.m., which is virtual, and it looks like you have to register for it. That's on the city's website, and it's also on engagekingston.com. My ask of you all is to go through and read that draft, and especially as it overlays with our Live Well work. So that could be community gardens, that's streetscapes, as we've mentioned. We don't have a housing well for Live Well, but housing absolutely impacts your health. And so I recommend everyone to consider how housing affects health, and that can be put toward, consider that when you think about comments you might want to make. And Tanya's bringing up aging in place. Yes, so I believe that one of the things that could happen with zoning is that it encourages more housing units. It could encourage the accessory dwelling units, which is great for aging in place. We have the Age Well Focus team, so that aligns very much so in a lot of our work. So I'm just going to reiterate, my ask you all is to go to engagekingston.com, look at the Kingston Forward zoning draft, and submit your comments, either written or go to the public hearing on June 22nd. I'm not the project manager, but I can try to answer any questions. Yes, Tanya's saying the ability to use your home in different ways as you age. I completely agree. That's a big value. Any questions about that before I move on? I don't see anybody unmuting. It's a little funny tonight to have everyone's cameras off, which you're welcome to do, but I'm talking at a screen, which is always a little funny. But yeah, Tanya, go ahead.
I know that the Conservation Advisory Council had the consultants come and do a presentation for them. And I know that they are willing to do that for any board and commission that would like that. So while before the next meeting, there'll be the public hearing and the input is due on July 1st, the feedback for the first community draft, there's going to be 2 other drafts following. This is the one it's the most important to get feedback in. But especially as a board, you've got sort of a real platform to, either when it gets towards the end to give your thoughts later on as well. So it might be a valuable thing to have them come and do a presentation if you end up identifying any questions or realizing that you all need more support in understanding the document. And then also check out the it's kind of hidden on Engage Kingston /Kingston-Forward. But in the first or second paragraph, there's a reference to the Gridix platform, and it's a great way to sort of, if you, instead of having to read the whole document, you can look around the map, and it's a sample of what it would be like when this is passed for the first year at least, how people would look up different things. And you can search by word, like search for bicycles or search for parking or search for whatever in there, or it's just what you can do with your property. So the Gridix is a really interactive tool to better navigate that's in the first or second paragraph of the page for the project on Engage Kingston.
Cool, thank you for all that. Yep, that's all great information. And Susanna, I saw you make a note about your camera being off. Please keep your cameras off, move around, that's totally fine. Didn't mean otherwise. Any other comments about the zoning draft? I don't see anybody unmuting, so I'm going to continue on. Old business, I just want to mention that we had talked about the next step in old business as part of the 2022 Live Well Kingston action plan was a review of veteran services here in Kingston and Ulster County. And I started to pull some of that together, but I don't have anything to present quite yet. So basically, I'm just saying I haven't forgotten to do that work. It's still coming. Next up is announcements and communications. And I have a bunch of meetings and events on our agenda that I welcome everyone to look at. Everyone is welcome to join any of them that are listed. I wanted to invite any of the people that have joined our call today, if they had any announcements or communications, or if they wanted to talk about their programs or work. Especially Lillian or Mary, if either of you would like to unmute and tell us anything, now's a great time. Lillian, you want on screen, would you like to go?
Sure. Yeah, so our program, St. Catherine's, is newer to Kingston. We've been here for like maybe 5 or 6 years, but we're still working on getting our name out there. Our full name is St. Catherine's Center for Children, and our base is up in Albany, so we're a satellite office, but we provide foster care services and kinship care services. And kinship care is when a relative or close family friend is caring for that family's child. And usually it's informal, or it could be through courts, but we just work to support those types of families. And a lot of them are grandparents that are doing this, or many times in the Hispanic communities. And most times they don't know that they're providing this service or doing this. It's just, what's expected. So, I'm definitely here to connect and network with you all and to get the name of our agency out there, and let you guys know, that we're here and to support the Kingston community as well.
Thank you, Lillian. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Mary, you came on screen. Would you like to say anything?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I am very much in training right now, so I will be in training until about September. I'll be offering at that point nutrition education workshops for income eligible youth and adults. Marsha can speak to this role a little bit as she previously was in my position. But for now, I'm just trying to get an understanding of really the Hudson Valley and all the resources here, and also just thinking a lot about the social determinants of health and how everything is really interrelated, like the work that you're doing. So getting to meet some people and hear about some of your initiatives. I'm really grateful that you allow anyone to attend these meetings. So thank you for having me.
Glad to have you. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on your new position.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to open it up to anyone else. Any other programs, projects, things that are going on in your worlds that you would like to share? Kristen, you went off mute. You want to go?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell folks that as a part of CHISC, I also do a lot of community nutrition work, and Heidi jumped off, but I'm working with the YMCA and with People's Place, in addition to another site, on a nutrition and food policy for their food venue. So the YMCA has a vending machine that we are getting healthier items put into the machines, and we're getting a couple of water fill stations installed, and we'll be having a launch of that next Thursday, June 23rd at 1 p.m. I know it's during the day, but if you happen to be by the Y, or if you're like working out, or you just want to go drink from a new water fill station or something, feel free to stop by. We would love to see you there to show support for the Y's commitment to the health of our community by adopting this nutrition policy and adopting some really important changes and practices. They're really committed and they're really excited about this. And then People's Place will hopefully be having the launch of their nutrition policy sometime in July. We were able to purchase some new equipment for their space, so it'll help to keep it really organized. We're going to have some more signage that shows which are healthier options. So as folks go through, we'll never have a space where we take away all options, or we communicate in a way that creates like shame around food. That's really People's Place. We really didn't want to do that. There's already a stigma going to food pantries, but they'll be able to identify which ones are healthier, as well as foods that are safe, because there's a lot of people who are accessing food pantries who have food allergies. or they have conditions like diabetes that require them to eat specific foods to help manage those conditions. So People's Place is really committed to the health of their community. And so we'll be launching that in July, and we'll again have another little launch party. So if you happen to want to stop by and just kind of support them and say like, good job, we can share that information on the Live Well Kingston social media pages. So you'll see that coming up. So if you see those, feel free, stop by, say hi, see me in person before I have this baby or something, you know, whatever you want to do. But I wanted to share those two, June 23rd and a TBD July date.
And Kristen, you're making, we should probably send out an email to our commissioners and maybe friends, and we'll send out that information as well.
Yeah, I started an email this afternoon and I created a little graphic on Canva because I am not a graphic designer, but Canva lets me pretend like I am. So we'll send that out this week for the YMCA for next Thursday.
Sounds great. Susanna, you came on screen. Do you have an announcement or communication?
Yes, sorry, God, I've been sitting way too long today. So just that for folks who know that the Institute is building a brand new community health center in Midtown Kingston on Pine Street to be called the Pine Street Family Health Center. And we're happy to report that progress is moving along despite the craziness of things that we have found under the earth, which people probably have heard about. And we are still expecting to open up in hopefully early 2023, to be done by the end of this year with construction, but then it takes quite a while for all the health permits that are needed. But starting probably this fall, we'll be starting, oh, can you hear me?
We can now, but you did.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, keep going.
But can you hear me now?
Yes.
So starting this fall, we anticipate having a couple of community meetings with an array of community groups. We will invite folks far and wide, and we'll definitely be asking Live Well Kingston to help spread this, to talk about what people are looking for in the health center, and specifically the community space. We've actually designated a quarter of the entire community health center to be used for community space, and to think about programming a little differently. I have to say that I'm kind of pushing for this to be, even though we are a health center and provide medical services and mental health and behavioral health services, to think of it more as a true health center, health and wellness. And I've been trying to communicate with leadership, not all of whom are based in Ulster County, about sort of what's been happening in Ulster County and some of the issues that I feel like I've learned from this group and other groups too that are being identified, and some of the shifting demographics also. Anyway, to include, will definitely be, I will let you all know in plenty of time, in advance notice about when these meetings are going to be. And I hope that many of you can join to help give some feedback on what folks want to see in Kingston for healthcare.
Very cool. Thank you, Susanna.
And I will say I'm not surprised you found things underneath that piece of property, just because I know that a lot of the bodies were moved from underneath the old Dutch church as the city was built, and the Pine Street African Burial Ground was, unfortunately, the bodies of the slaves, and the ancestors are now, honoring it there, and that's across the street, and that's where the graves of everyone else were. So I'm not surprised you're finding lots of things there. I think I have some old articles if you're interested. I could send you on the history of that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. So it's kind of extraordinary what's been discovered, but and very much in contact with the Dutch church, yeah. And I believe that the plan is once it's all done and all of the remains have been identified, well, they can't be identified. I think there's been one that's been able to be identified from early on in the 1800s. That there's going to be like kind of a community, like a burial. And O Positive has said my just informal conversations that they'd like to have some of the artists paint the boxes, which I've learned are called ossuaries. Also is well, anyway, so ossuaries, which are boxes where bones are then buried, but to get O Positive artists involved in painting those too, and have a proper burial for all of them. So but it seems like there were folks who, I mean, I'm not pointing fingers, but I'm just saying that there were folks who have been building on that land and clearly turning the other way, and we clearly were not going to do that. So and we've been working with like forensic anthropologists and in the city of Kingston. Everything's been really just above board and clear and reporting everything. So but I think that's coming to an end now, so which is good.
I have my second point with that is I was having a conversation with some folks. I was, in the city, it was with a lot of folks this last weekend in Saratoga, a lot of healthcare leaders that are in the city, and they're talking about identifying gaps and places for healthcare up and down, because a lot of our systems are now owned by folks in Manhattan and south of us. And Kingston is high on their list for a lot of them, just from the financial perspective. So that's good. And I think maybe in the future, we'll see more money and effort coming towards us. And there's a lot of grant funding out there for that too, within all the SDOH work and potentially the Medicaid district program. So
what is SDOH?
Social determinants.
Determinants of health. Yeah.
Yep. So that's the positive side of all of this.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that update, Susanna. I love hearing about that. I can't wait till the center opens. I'm really excited about it. Any other updates or communications?
Greenline will have our wander or cleanup soon. I'm thinking we'll just do a pop-up kind of one, either the weekend before 4th of July, which is next weekend, or actually that 4th of July weekend, just to have folks, hey, guess what? We're gonna meet. Come meet us. And sometimes it just works. We get 10 or 15 bodies and it takes a couple hours and we get all the trash cleaned up. So we haven't done that. I think the last one was April. We did them at the beginning of the season, so it's time. So stay tuned and grab your gloves and your garbage bags and meet us at wherever we meet.
Awesome. Anyone, I think, who we haven't, Troy Ellen, do you have anything? Tanya, do you have any last things you want to mention?
I have nothing. Thank you, Emily.
Sure. Tanya, you're good? Okay, thank you so much. All right, then, let me just double check my agenda. I'm gonna just say a few things that I think are really great to not miss. So, Marcia and I are tabling at the Kingston Farmers Market on Saturday from 10 to 2. Come say hi. We're gonna have lots of things to talk to you about. Pretty much everything we talked about today and a lot more. Grow Well Focus Team is June 20th, Age Well 21st. As Kristen mentioned, the nutrition policy launch on the 23rd. Let's see, Grow Well will be again on July 7th. Heal Well will be on July 1st. The BFK Slow Ride I mentioned will be on July 7th at the YMCA. The free bike repair at the co-op event is July 9th at the Pink Bubble. Live Well will be tabling there thanks to Kristen. Grow Well will then be on the 18th, and then our next commission meeting will be July 20th, 4 p.m. Same thing, will be on site and Zoom.
But you will be on vacation?
Oh, yes, thank you so much for bringing that up. We don't have many of the commissioners, so Susanna and Troy Ellen here, and Sarah. So I will be on vacation next month. So my question to the commissioners, and maybe I'll have to send out an email, is would you like to three options: cancel the meeting because I'm not that I'm not that important, but maybe it's a good excuse. To have the meeting and a commissioner could lead it. Troy Ellen, as the chair, I think you have the first right of refusal to lead that meeting if you so like. Or 3, we could ask Marcia or Kristen to help facilitate. So that's my question to commissioners, and I'm thinking maybe I should send out an email to everybody since there's.
Well,
I do.
are there any requirements for how many meetings we're supposed to have in the year?
Yes, but it's like 8 to 10, and we've done every month, so we can miss a few.
So I was gonna say, I like when groups take a little break in the summertime and or around the holidays or something, so I don't think it's a bad idea to take a break, whether it's in July or August. And if you're gonna be away in July, may I suggest we take a break?
Troy Ellen, you were about to say something?
I agree with Susanna, but I think that you should send out an email to the full commission requesting their input.
Thank you so much, will do. Another thought is that sometimes a lot of people go away in August as well. We could also cancel in August. If we meet every month, that's totally fine. We can take those months off. Just something to consider. If we can't, also don't meet in July, might we also not meet in August? Because I think other people may be gone then too. But so I think next step is I'll send out an email to the commissioners to decide, and I'll update everyone, and of course, either do a meeting reminder for next month or a meeting cancellation. Any other thoughts on that?
Melanie's other thought is if we're missing 2 months, then I would just love to hear about other things happening that crop up events wise, so we just communicate with each other via email if we do skip 2 months. And that gives us more bandwidth to attend some of these things.
Yeah, and that's also bringing up to me, so commissioners, I can resend it if you haven't gotten it, but I have an agenda, like a working agenda of when all the focus teams will present to us. And what I'm looking up right now is the only focus team we haven't heard this year from Age Well or Play Well, but we've heard from all of the other focus teams. So that works well. So if we took off July and August, we could have September and October be Age Well and Play Well. And then November would be all of the focus teams do a brief updates. And then December, we often do a little bit of a holiday special meeting. So honestly, that would fit into our calendar perfectly. So that's another consideration. Focus teams can host Dover Cole as well. Thank you, Tanya. Yep, that's a reason to meet, is to have Dover Cole present to us about the zoning. Thank you for that, Tanya. You did bring that up earlier. All right. Unless there's any other things anyone would like to bring up, I think we've reached the end of my agenda. So we do not have a quorum, but Sarah, Troy Ellen, or Susanna, if one of you don't mind making a motion to adjourn this meeting, I'll take it. Sarah.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Troy Ellen or Susanna, will one of you second?
Second it.
Thank you, Susanna. All in favor, Troy Ellen?
Aye.
Thank you. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much, Lillian and Mary. Thank you so much for joining us. It was lovely to see you.
Thank you, and have a good night.
I don't mean to leave you, Tanya, out, but Tanya, you have joined us before. That's the only reason that I'm giving more preference to Lillian and Mary. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.